Justice S. Muralidhar, who retired as Chief Justice of the Orissa High Court on August 8, 2023, was such an outstanding judge that Narendra Modi made sure he never reached the Supreme Court. On the day of his retirement, lawyers and High Court staff in Bhubaneswar bid him a farewell of the kind rarely seen in the judiciary at any level. A senior advocate in Delhi summed up the feelings of all those who care deeply about justice in India. Justice Muralidhar's retirement, he tweeted, without elevation to the Supreme Court is, to borrow from Kiran Desai, our inheritance of loss. To understand what we have lost, we only need to look at his record on the bench. Justice Muralidhar first came to prominence for co-authoring, along with Justice A.P. Shah, the Delhi High Court's landmark judgment decriminalizing homosexuality. That was way back in 2009. It was only in 2018, however, that Narendra Modi and his powerful Home Minister Amit Shah began seeing his independent-mindedness as a real threat and tried to transfer him from the Delhi High Court. The Supreme Court Collegium successfully resisted the move that year. 2 years later, however, on February the 12th, 2020, the Collegium, whose membership was now different, ordered his transfer to the Punjab and Haryana High Court. Though normally weeks or even months pass before such transfer orders are converted into a government notification, matters came to a head swiftly for Justice Muralidhar. Close to midnight on February the 26th, literally hours after he had pulled up the Delhi police for not protecting the people of the city from the hate speech of Hindutva leaders and the riots which followed, the government issued a notification ordering his immediate transfer from Delhi to Chandigarh. The timing of this notification is extremely suspect, wrote lawyer Chetan Lokur at the time, because while the recommendation of the Collegium to transfer Justice Muralidhar was passed on February the 12th, the government notification came to be issued only a few hours after Justice Muralidhar passed an order which had followed established principles of law in the contentious case seemingly against the Delhi police and crucial for the executive. Transfer notifications normally give a judge 14 days to take charge. But in Justice Muralidhar's case, the shift out of the Delhi High Court was with immediate effect. His farewell speech to the Delhi High Court Bar Association, which was a packed affair such as few had seen, gives us a clue to why the Modi government wanted him off the Delhi riots cases post-haste. There is a distinction between neutrality and impartiality, Justice Muralidhar said. They are not antithetical. Impartiality is non-compromisable for a judge. It is an essential attribute. On neutrality, the Constitution, in my view, requires the judge at all levels to be able to discern the weak from the strong litigant in terms of their capacities to access justice and lean on the side of the vulnerable in order to attempt to achieve equality of arms. When it came to communal violence, Justice Muralidhar was an impartial and no-nonsense judge who looked out for the vulnerable. So he dealt with the 2020 riots in exactly the same way as he handled other cases of mass violence. In 2018, for example, he sentenced Congress leader Sajjan Kumar to life imprisonment for his role in the 1984 massacre of Sikhs, the first senior politician to be jailed for such a crime in the history of India. The mass killings of Sikhs between 1st and 4th November 1984 in Delhi and the rest of the country, engineered by political actors with the assistance of the law enforcement agencies, answered the description of crimes against humanity, unquote, Justice Muralidhar wrote in his judgment, delivered along with Justice Vinod Goyal. The BJP, which was happy to use the 1984 killings as a weapon against the Congress, would have been satisfied if this is all that he said. But Justice Muralidhar also made the obvious wider point when he noted that the Delhi massacres had become a template for others. There has been a familiar pattern of mass killings in Mumbai in 1993, in Gujarat in 2002, in Kandhamal, Orissa in 2008, in Muzaffarnagar in UP in 2013, to name a few, he wrote. Common to these mass crimes were the targeting of minorities and the attacks spearheaded by the dominant political actors being facilitated by the law enforcement agencies. The criminals responsible for the mass crimes have enjoyed political patronage and managed to evade prosecution and punishment. Strong words. Just a few weeks earlier, Justice Muralidhar had convicted 16 provincial armed constabulary personnel of Uttar Pradesh for the massacre of Muslims at Hashimpura near Meerut in 1987. Successive governments had withheld from the trial court a crucial case diary with the names of policemen on duty at the crime scene on the day, leading to their acquittal in 2015. It was on Justice Muralidhar's direction that the original file was brought on record, which proved to be clinching evidence. Also in 2018, Justice Muralidhar prevented the Pune police from arresting Gautam Navlakha and taking him to Maharashtra in connection with the Bhimya Koregaon case. It is not possible to make out a case from the documents placed before us, he said. It was finally only in April 2020 that the National Investigation Agency, which took over the case, took Navlakha into custody. If all of these judgments made Justice Muralidhar a marked man in the eyes of the political establishment, what happened on February the 26th, 2020 finally sealed his fate. On that crucial day, Justice Muralidhar presided over 3 sittings related to police inaction in the Delhi riots. First, Justice Muralidhar and Justice A.J. Bhambani held an emergency sitting at 1 in the morning, following an urgent plea from counsel representing the Al-Hind Hospital in Mustafabad, northeast Delhi. The hospital asked the court to direct the Delhi police to help it shift over 20 persons injured in the riots to government-run hospitals where they could receive proper treatment. The police did not respond to its call for help and only escorted the patients out when the High Court bench ordered them to do so. The same day, Justice Muralidhar and Justice Talwant Singh pulled up the Delhi police and Solicitor General Tushar Mehta for not following legal guidelines on registering an FIR when complaints were brought to it about inflammatory speeches made by BJP leaders Kapil Mishra, Anurag Thakur, Parvesh Verma and others. These guidelines mandate the registering of an FIR if a cognizable offence is disclosed or else a time-bound inquiry. Justice Muralidhar's third hearing on the riots, a continuation of the early morning one, saw the police confirming that all the patients of Al-Hind Hospital had been shifted to safety. This shows that a lot can happen when the authorities are willing to take action. It's an actual demonstration of how police officers are waiting for the orders to act, Justice Muralidhar said, adding, "We can't let another 1984 scenario happen in this city." But Narendra Modi and Amit Shah had other plans. For that very night, on February the 26th, 2020, their government passed his transfer orders. From then on, his career went the same way as that of Justice Aqil Qureshi, the brilliant Gujarat High Court judge who should have made it to the Supreme Court but instead retired last year as Chief Justice of the Tripura High Court. Justice Qureshi had once ruled against Amit Shah, so the Modi government made sure he never got to head a major high court. Similarly, Modi and Shah did their best to keep Justice Muralidhar away from any court where he could deliver judgments that might hurt their political interests. He was first sent to the Punjab and Haryana High Court as a judge for 9 months before being appointed Chief Justice of the Orissa High Court in January 2021. At Bhubaneswar, Justice Muralidhar dispensed justice, but also showed his mettle as an administrator and was widely applauded for transforming the functioning of the High Court. The new Record Room Digitization Center, which allows everyone quick access to scanned copies of case records, was only one of several initiatives he took, which have turned the High Court into a more accessible space for litigants. In September 2022, the Supreme Court Collegium decided to appoint him Chief Justice of the much larger Madras High Court, but the Modi government sat on the file and refused to clear it. Finally, in April 2023, with a little over 3 months to go before his retirement as a High Court judge, the Collegium withdrew his nomination for the Madras High Court. As the Wire's legal editor V. Venkatesan wrote earlier this year, the Collegium's resolution uploaded on April the 19th, recalling its recommendation to transfer Justice S. Muralidhar, makes clear its helplessness in the face of the government's defiance for over 6 months. Though the Collegium made its displeasure public, the fact is that the government had its way over the Supreme Court Collegium. "I'm often asked, are judges under pressure?" Justice Muralidhar once said. And he My answer to that is not unless they acknowledge it. Though the collegium members made their displeasure known, the fact remains that the Union government had once again managed to bend the system of judicial appointments to its will. Justice Muralidhar was eminently qualified for elevation to the Supreme Court, but the collegium, unfortunately, never recommended his name. At the time of his retirement, he was the second most senior High Court judge and one with arguably the most distinguished record. But given the Modi government's clear antipathy towards him and the collegium's own failure to enforce its primacy in judicial appointments, successive Chief Justices of India chose the path of least resistance. Are judges under pressure? Justice Muralidhar said he is often asked. My answer to that is, not unless they acknowledge it. S. Muralidhar is one of those judges who never allowed himself to come under pressure. He may not have made it to the Supreme Court, but his contributions to the cause of justice in India will be remembered long after many others who served there are forgotten.